Yeah. I'd like to welcome y'all back. I got my guy, Jason Forte, on here. Me and him, but probably known this guy for like 20 years. Like I said, I created this platform for the love, just to go back and talk to guys that I crossed paths with through my basketball journey. This is a guy that we had similar paths, played in college, played overseas. So I just want to kind of get, his story. I know where he's from, but I'm going to let him share that. So just to begin, now, did you grow up in Bay Springs? Were you born and raised there?
Yeah, man, I was actually born in Laurel, Mississippi, man, which was the closest hospital. But, yeah, grew up, born and raised in Bay Springs, Mississippi, man, Jasper County.
Okay. And now, when do you think was as far back when you remember, when do you think that you got serious about just the game? Was it like rec league, YMCA, or did you play other sports?
Well, I was always a baseball player. The crazy thing was growing up, we had bitty basketball.
Right.
And, I always had my brother that was 2 years older than me, and that was so much better. And it just, I would always play. We would, he was Jordan, I was Pippen.
Right.
So, this last dance documentary brought us back. But,
right.
Yeah, man, played bitty, but really loved baseball, man. Was huge baseball fan, but kind of got in it, real excited about it when I started coming into myself. Really wasn't talented growing up. Struggled because I had the biggest feet, man. And,
right.
Running and jumping was tough. Mm-hmm. But really came into my own when I was about 7th grade, 8th grade, really started loving it. Really what I wanted to do. And then my height came along 9th, 10th grade.
Right. So would you say in middle school, were you the man, or were you still kind of developing? I know at that age that you're still growing, but some kids, I'm pretty sure you played in middle school. Like I know a guy right now that averaged scored like 30 points a game in middle school, but didn't play in a high school. So how were you? You think in middle school, what was your skill level like?
Man, like I said, I was a point guard. I wore size, 8th grade. I wore size 13. I was like 5'8".
Right.
They called me Plank, so I was slow, big feet, and I used to just bring the ball. I could shoot it. But we had about 2 cats on our team, like 6'3", 6'4".
Okay.
We just throw the ball out to them, and they went to work. And like you said, they didn't even touch the court in high school. So
right. Yep.
I was just kind of like average, man. I just ran the show, ran the point, and then the summer going into my 9th grade year, I went from 5'8" to 6'2", wearing a 14 shoe. So it was just like, oh, this is who I should have been.
Right. Now, fast forward to high school. The big thing is 9th grade. Now, did you go straight to varsity, or were you on JV, B team? How'd that go going from middle school to high school?
The one thing about us, we didn't lose. We lost one game in junior high. So
okay, so the whole team came.
So the whole team, when we went to 9th grade, there was no 9th grade team. We all went to junior varsity.
Okay.
And when we went to junior varsity, like I said, I was 9th grade, 6'2". I had my athleticism was coming. I was getting, all of that was coming around, and I used to dominate.
Right.
I went from, I'm talking about dominating, dunking, and everything.
Right.
In
9th grade.
In 9th grade,
okay.
So
okay.
I was averaging. I played 4 junior varsity games, and I was averaging about 22, 23. And I never forget we was playing Southeast Lauderdale in JV
right.
game.
Mm-hmm.
And, after the first 3 JV games, people was like, yo, Jason, nice.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. So the JV game used to be packed out.
So
I got a steal the game and came down and dunked it 2 hands off the one leg. And next thing you know, after the game, coach was like, Forte, you're going to dress out high school tonight.
Right.
I'm like, so I dressed out that night and didn't play. Of course, I didn't play. So we came into practice. Coach told me, he said, you're not going to practice today. You're going to wait and practice with varsity. So I was like, cool. So we were running the same sets and everything, the flex and all. But
right.
I can remember the first part of the week and the latter part of the week, we played Northeast Jones, which at the time was ranked 3rd in the state.
Right.
And during practice that week, our point guard got hurt, and I got a chance to start against the number 3 in the state. And, I had like 16 points, and ever since then, I never went back to junior varsity.
Right. So you had plenty of experience starting in 9th grade. getting that experience on the varsity level. And then I know I'm kind of getting ahead of myself, but to piggyback, when you said that I was just talking to my boy in here about this. Like you said, you're two guys that was like 6'3", 6'4". When you're in the States, if you the tallest kid on the team, they just throw you on the block. They don't care what your skill level is. But I was telling my boy, like, now when you go to Europe, the same drills that the bigs doing, the guards doing. Same drills the guards doing, the bigs doing. So that's why you see the big guys that come from Europe, they can handle, they can pass because they're doing the same thing. But in the States, I don't know why. Just as soon as we see the biggest kid, we just put him on the block and throwing the ball. So he never develops how to dribble, never develops a post game, because at that age, of course, anybody that's the biggest kid is going to be the best player. Instead of developing his skills, we just kind of handicap him. I feel like by throwing a lot of American kids at an early age, just putting them on the block and not working on anything else. Okay, so so you was the first guy now that I talked to that played, that had varsity experience starting from 9th grade. So when did you just feel like it just clicked and you know that you was a presence? And that you could compete on the high school level? Because I know, like, junior, senior, I kind of know what you did, but when did it kind of click for you? And when you started,
it clicked for me. Like I said, I started a couple games early. The senior point guard came back. I come off the bench, and we're really being the only 9th grade on varsity my 9th grade year. And there was actually 2 seniors, and there was 10 juniors, which was my brother's junior year. And when we come back the next year, I was a sophomore, but I was only underclassmen. The rest of them were seniors.
Right.
And I started the entire year. It was games where I had great games. I want to say I probably averaged like 14 points my sophomore year. And when all of them left, I was the only one that had experience. So all of my classmates that were 9th, 10th grade playing junior varsity 2 years, they didn't know nothing about varsity. So and at that time we had a transition where we got my new coach came, which is the head coach of Meridian, which is Ron Norman. Okay. He came and he developed the whole new culture.
Right.
He told me, look, this is your team. You're the only person got experience, so I'm gonna need you to do more. And so I had to really lead. And so really going into because losing in the state tournament my freshman year and got a chance to play. Going into my losing again in the state tournament my sophomore year, really got a chance to go that far. Really going into my junior year, I kind of knew what to expect.
Right.
And it was being a leader. That's when I kind of going from my sophomore year to my junior year is when I came into my own.
Right. Now, did you get a chip?
No, we ain't win no championship. No, we got beat.
What's the furthest fight that you guys win?
State tournament. Well, first round of the state tournament. So
y'all went to the big house for the first game.
Yeah, first game. Yeah. At that time, the way it's structured now, Mississippi is kind of structured crazy now. How they do that?
Yeah. Like
there's no South State tournament or nothing.
Like Starkville. I know now, like Starkville and Northwest Rankin is in the same conference, which is like Jackson. So that's like a 2 hour, like a 2 hour ride on like a Tuesday, whatever, Thursday night for a high school basketball game. So it's just crazy. Okay, so your junior year. Is that when you started to get recruited? Because I'm pretty sure that by 9th you got that experience. So it was like your junior year is when you started getting recruited seriously by schools, you would say? And like who were the schools that were kind of around at that time or started recruiting you?
I'm gonna be honest with you. When I remember the summer going into my junior year, went to Mississippi State individual camp.
Right.
And I remember Coach Kirby, Cunningham, all those guys had, they had a couple like cats like Dwayne Mitchell and Big Wesley Morgan at the time. They had them in for just there. They was already recruiting them, but they had them coming in for individual camp.
Right.
And the individual camp, I just like went ham.
Right.
And as we got a chance, and then I'm actually picturing and seeing these guys, they talking throughout the camp. Got a chance to play against Dwayne, and I went ham. After the game, Kirby reached out to me. He came to me like, yo, so talking to me and everything. And Mississippi State was actually the first school to recruit me doing basketball camp. Okay. So after the first 2 days, basketball camp went from just basketball camp to I'm like hanging out, whatever.
Almost like an unofficial visit almost. Right. So that wasn't at the team camp that we played at. Was that at team camp? So that was the year.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Was when we played each other, but But the individual camp, I actually paid to go to individual camp
Right.
going
Yeah.
into my junior year. So Mississippi State actually was the first school that.
Okay.
And then when the season started, I just erupted, man. I mean, I just 30, 40, I kept killing.
That's why I didn't want to get ahead of myself, because I was gonna go back to the numbers, because I was getting ready to say in high school I used to always, our senior year, I'm gonna fast forward, I used to always go to the Clan Legends, like how many Jay has. I got everybody I played with, you or Ricky or Sam. I always wanted to see, because I could go to the Clarion Ledger. And man, I'm just gonna say, I know, like, I saw a lot of 40, 50-point games. I'm gonna be, I can attest to that. I used to always go check and see what my guys were doing. So, what do you also think about playing with the Panthers? Like, we played for a guy, rest in peace, Chokwe, and his son is the Mayor Jackson now. He was somebody that, at the time I really didn't understand a lot about his, about his movement and everything he was about. But later on, once I got older and could understand more, I really didn't understand how cool of a person and a great guy that we had the opportunity to play for with the Jackson Panthers.
Right. Well, with Chokwe, man, especially what's going on right now, man, it's like with the racial injustice and systematic racism and stuff like that. As being young, I would, a lot of the trips, especially I remember when we was at, Wide World of Sports for National AAU, and we were young, man. We talked to each other a certain way, and we'd slip and say the N-word, and immediately he make us do push-ups.
Right. Yeah.
And you're like, no, don't say that. So not knowing that what he stood for and the blessing of being able to do that, man. And I felt like we had probably, if not one of the most talented teams to ever come through that group.
Right.
Like, when you look at yourself, you look at me, you look at Ricky Hood, you look at Sam, you look at Delvin Thompson, the squad, the people we actually had coming through there. Big, we had, Byron Sanders went to North Carolina. Think about it. Big Tony, rest in peace to Big Tony Smith. Big Tony, man. But we had a team of our guards. We were 6'3" and better. Right. And we just, we had a good group of guys, man. And I felt like, that camaraderie we built was just one. I tell my nephew now, he's a senior at law. I'm like, yo, that was one of my best times ever. And that's when AAU was not watered down. Right, for sure. Playing just like, and that's what I was gonna go back to in high school and say as well. Being from Mississippi, where you were Dandy Dozen, for people that don't know, a Dandy Dozen is the top 12 players in the state before the season starts. Were you a Dandy for just your senior year? That's my senior year. Now, how big of a accomplishment, or was that something you always had in your mind that you wanted? Anybody, I think, play high school basketball in Mississippi wants to be a Dandy Dozen. So, was that big and important? Man, that was huge, man. I mean, you think about all the dandies that came before us. Right. Just, to be a dandy, man, and being from a little, coming from where I come from and actually be the first dandy to ever come from my school. Right. And now, now that was actually, sorry about that. That was actually a second dandy, and I paid the way for that. Bruce Stevens was the next one that went to Ole Miss. He was the next one to come right behind me. And to have that dandy was really probably one of the first things that I wanted to shoot for going into my senior year. Right. And like I said, for me, it was big because, like I said, I didn't play varsity until my junior year. So I really only had 1 year high school ball. So it was a big, turnaround for me. Because like I said, I don't know if you remember Rod Prater and all those guys. So we were like really deep. And matter of fact, I don't know if I think I talked to you, but Starboard High just won state, and the kid that got the MVP, that's Blackie's Prater's son. That was his son. They got the MVP of the state championship from Starboard High. So I guess we kind of aged ourselves a little bit right there. But but yeah. Crazy. So now fast forward, you had a great high school career. Now the end of your senior year, you're recruiting. It's probably getting heavy. So did you sign early or did you sign late? Well, I actually committed early. Man, the big thing about my recruiting, I had we talked about teams with Mississippi State, Boston College, Arkansas, Miami. Who was your top 5? Like, or where'd you take visits to? I actually took 4 visits. Arkansas, of course, State, Boston College, and University of Miami. those on the visit. Boston College was a sell for me. When I went to Boston College, I was just like, that was right after 9/11. And that was, that's where I wanted to be. Big East, they were strong, coach,
Right.
everything was what I wanted. And
was Troy Bell there then? Was Troy Bell there when you went?
Troy I still talk to Troy to this day. Good friend of mine. We actually,
yeah, he was nice. He was nice.
Yeah, real nice. But that team was strong, man. And the crazy thing about it is when I committed, as soon as I got back home, I committed. It was declared like
right. Yep.
And I didn't sign early, so that was around October. November was the signing period. I didn't sign early, but and when it came back around, my mom got real sick with her breast cancer.
Right.
And I was kind of like wanting to stay close to home and And Southern Miss came in the picture. And when Southern Miss came in the picture, it was like I remember it was a Wednesday. I left school, and Coach Kirby and Cunningham wanted me to come to Starkville. They came and got me.
Right.
Went to Starkville, did like the visit or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And it was between Mississippi State or Southern Miss, and I chose Southern Miss.
And why?
I felt like I need to be close to home with, my mom being sick with her breast cancer. And, at that time, it was just me, my mom. I grew up in a single parent home. So it was my mom and my brother. And, when that happened, it just was kind of like during that signing period time, I was kind of like, her health was declining. So,
and, how far is
Boston College was cool with it. They understood.
Right.
And that's why I just made my decision easy.
And how far is Hattiesburg from Bay Springs?
About an hour drive.
Okay, and Starkville's what, about 2.5?
Starkville's about 2.5 hours from Bay Springs.
Now, when you signed, was Sam already signed too? Or did Sam sign after you?
Sam was signed and Jerikas was signed.
Okay, so that was that's a solid backcourt, right? I mean, yeah, you got three Danny Dozen guards. So it was a no-brainer. So, and like you said, and you and Sam had history from playing with the Panthers, playing AAU. Okay, so now college. Now, how big of a transition was it for you from high school into college? Like, what was that transition like? Just physically? Well, already, I'm gonna let you guys know if y'all eating cheeseburgers or fries and y'all scroll by this guy's page, you're gonna feel bad, man. Like, every time I'm eating something I see, I almost want to put it down. When it comes to working out. So if you want to see some work, a guy work out and that's been committed to it, as long as I know, man, check his page out. I'm going to definitely add him so you can check it out. But what was the biggest adjustment period for you from high school into college? And were you already lifting?
Yeah, I was lifting. I probably came into college I probably came in my about 195. 6'3", 195, and we started lifting
right now. But anyway, go ahead.
We started coming into the summer, and we was lifting and things like that. And when we got ready to off season conditioning and get ready to go into the season, I was about 205. So I gained about 10 pounds of muscle.
Right.
And it was a good fit for me. But my biggest transition was the practicing, man. At the time I had Coach James Green, and we practiced hard in high school. Coach Norman was tough, but the 4:30 we had what we call eagle time, to where we had to be on the court 10 minutes before practice. Nobody had 8 o'clock classes my freshman year, so we would practice at 5 o'clock every morning, and I wasn't used to that.
Right.
So I was just like, "Yo, this is getting your body warmed up, waking up,
trying to eat, trying to eat something."
Really not having no life outside of basketball, school. And, Coach Green was real adamant about defense and picking up and deny the wing and stuff like that. And like I said, that was a big transition for me. And it was don't let nobody, dribble over, go across your face or to dribble, take a step back. It was so much stuff that I was learning.
Right, just knowing that was a big. Just knowing the philosophy, just knowing like the college, just knowing how to guard people, because we played zone my whole high school career. So when I got to college and my first pickup and the ball was on the opposite wing, I was hugging my man in the corner because I never played man. I didn't know I was supposed to be cutting the lane in half and help, but so I had to get broke all the way down before I could even get on the court just to learn how to guard and help defense. Because high school, my mentality was if if my man ain't scoring, then I'm winning. But
Right,
not knowing
we're good.
but not knowing that I'm killing my team by not sliding over and helping, my man that just got beat on the drive. So that was my biggest thing, just adjusting to help defense and knowing that everybody's kind of on like a chain. Yeah, on a
right,
string.
right.
Okay. So did you play a lot as a freshman? How was your freshman year?
I actually did. I played a little bit as a freshman. My biggest thing, it was coming out of high school and actually, scoring a lot, and being able to put it in the back. And Coach Green's system was more last 10 seconds, 7 passes, last 10 seconds. And the first couple games of the season, I was like, this is not bad. Swing the ball, I pull up and, good, get back on defense. And, that's not how we play. And it just was different to me.
Right.
To me, and I questioned it a lot. I remember the newspaper. It was like, how do you feel about the system? Da da da. You coming in scoring 34, high school. Da da da. What you think? Mm-hmm. And I was just like, I don't think Duke and North Carolina play defense like this.
Right.
So it just was something new. So
right.
And actually having a shot, you got to make an extra pass and make another pass and make another pass. That really got me kind of, I guess you could say, in the doghouse, because if I seen something, a shot that I felt like I could make, I'm shooting.
Right.
And, he would sit me down for it. And it just got to the point where my confidence level was down. I remember Auburn at the time, they had Marquise Daniel. They had that's the team that went to the Sweet 16 that year. And I sat the whole first half, and we was getting blasted. Right. And coach said, come in everything halftime. And just like, Forte, you be ready, da-da-da-da. I had 22 points in the second half. So, I'm on the way back. Right, against Auburn.
Okay.
At Auburn. And we were losing by like 25 at the first half, and we lost by like 9. But I'm talking about putting it in the basket and got interviewed and everything. And, pretty much confident saying, this is what I can do if I'm just get the time.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, we on the way back, and I remember I'm on the phone talking to my mom, like, she's like, man, you had a great game. I said, man, I could have had 40. We think about we played the other half.
Right.
I could have had 40 on them boys. And so when we got back to Hattiesburg, first thing coach said, everybody got 30 minutes. I'm like, 30 minutes for what? And they said, we about to run. So we made it back about 4:30. We was on the court with practice uniform on, running for how we played. And I'm saying to myself, like, yo, I
had a good
played good.
Right.
Right. And we actually ran. I'm talking about, man, we ran till the sun came up. And that was the first time I ever broke down. I said, this ain't basketball. I quit. This is not, I want to leave.
Okay,
this is not.
I didn't know that. Okay. Right.
This is not, I broke down. I was done. I was like.
Mentally.
I left.
Mentally, you had checked out.
Yeah, I was done. So I was like, I was ready to transfer. I was like, this is not what I signed up for.
Right.
Because I couldn't play my game. I really, really wanted to. I was doing everything I can. And then when I finally get a chance to show what I'm capable of doing, we come back and we get drill sergeants. You know what I'm saying?
So how'd y'all make men's and come back together? Because Coach Green was there for your whole career, right?
No, I had Coach Green my first 2 years. Coach Green was there my freshman year, my sophomore year. U Station was there my last 2 years.
So what was the difference between Green and U Station now for your last 2 years after playing for Coach Green? How was that? Was it a better fit for how you wanted to play, and was it a better connection as far as with you connection with you and Coach U Station? Coach Green
was just more old school. Coach Green was a good person though. He really cared about us, but he just was old school on his philosophy. That's because that's just the way he had been taught for years.
Right.
When Coach Green left, it was strange because we had like a consultant that toward the latter part of the year that Coach Green had introduced to as a friend, friend for a long time. Mm-hmm. And he had coached in college, didn't have a coaching job, but he wanted to get back into coaching. And he would actually take notes and watch our practice and watch games and stuff like that. So, it got kind of like, I guess you can say kind of got crazy the latter part of the season because Coach Green was forced to resign.
Right.
And our assistant coach, and Jeff Norwood, the coach of Tupelo now, he was pushed into a position of the coach of the last game of the season and conference tournament.
Okay.
So
that's a mix up in the locker room, like a new head
Yeah.
coach like the last part, like the last stretch of the season. So
like last 3 games of the season, and as we got, when that was over, next thing you know, it's a couple weeks later, about 2 weeks later, Southern Miss had signed our head coach, which was Larry Eustace. And the crazy thing about it, we had the big interview, we had the big announcement or whatever, and we sitting in the boardroom at the athletic department, and the consultant walks in as our head assistant, which was Steve Barnes, which was kind of crazy. It seemed like, and then most of us like, well, man, like what kind of bad stuff he was throwing,
right, or what
and,
he been plotting,
right? So
right.
it was crazy, and that was Eustace's head assistant.
Okay.
And stayed with him all the way till he got fired. He got fired at Colorado State,
Right.
which was crazy. So it kind of made us like had no loyalty for.
Right.
Because we were like, man, Coach Green did open his doors for you. You got a chance to meet us all. And then you come in and you're like, hey, guys, I know this looks bad, but I've been knowing Coach. It's just crazy. So we just kind of felt like it was betrayal. We felt like
had his trust. And I'm pretty sure and I'm pretty sure as a player, it's hard to trust or run through a wall for a coach that you feel like that might not have your best interest or could do the same thing to you if he did that to the head coach. Like, who are you?
Right. And it just, with Eustace was that never had a personal relationship with him. Coach Eustace came in, and his thing was really just to clean house. I was the only scholarship senior graduate from Jasper Johnson left, Sam left, Jarikas left. All of those guys actually left, and it was just me, and I was the one left. And when he came in, his philosophy was, how can I break Jason? But mentally, I was so strong at the time, had me playing out of position. I mean, I went from playing the 1 and 2 and the 3 to playing 4 and 5, and I never played that in my life. So I got super strong going into my senior year, got 230, ripped up. And I said, well, one thing they might be taller, but they ain't gonna outwork me down here.
Right.
And that's how I played, And I would Debo bully, and it really helped.
Undersized, like playing the bigs. So like if bigs had to come out to the perimeter, then you had the advantage because I'm pretty sure you still had your quickness and explosiveness from being a guard already. So I'm glad you said that too, because Jasper is going to be on here as well. I didn't know Jasper was at Southern Miss before he went to Delta. I thought he was at Delta. Okay.
Jasper actually played with me during my junior year, my whole entire to about after Christmas of my junior year, and it's crazy how that happened. I'll let him tell a story, but he left, and when Jasper left, he went to Delta State, and Jasper was Player of the Year. Jasper won a championship with Jeremy Richardson and all that. They was nice. Jasper,
he was there at Delta for 2 years.
Year and a half, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Year and a half. And the crazy thing about that, Jasper was a year older than us. He 2001.
Right.
Jasper was a redshirt freshman, so we would have graduated together.
Right, because
Jasper got out his first year.
Right.
And Jasper was Big Smooth, man. That year right before he left, I think Jasper was averaging about 16 and 10. Jasper gave Big Baby and LSU. We beat LSU my junior year, 27 and 10, and it was easy, So but Jasper was just, like I said, I let him tell the story. Jasper was kind of picked on due to the fact that Eustace was trying to find ways to break the person, but
And like and I was say I can't wait to get him on here. He's a like you said, Jasper. He's a beast. He can shoot it. I think he was one of like the first pick and pop guys at that size back then that could shoot it. So I can't wait to get him on here.
He got the perfect name, Big Smooth.
Right. Okay. Now, so fast forward. Also in college, who was the best team you think? Was that Auburn team the best team that you played against in college in your whole 4 years?
No, they were nice. Louisville with Reece Gaines and Francisco Garcia.
Yeah, I remember
Taquan Dean. They were nice.
Was there any
Cincinnati.
NBA guys? Was there any NBA guys? Like, who'd you play against? That some names that we may know that's in the league now.
My freshman year. No, my freshman year we played against Marquette in the conference tournament. They had Travis Diener, Dwayne Wade.
Oh wow, okay.
They had D Wade, Francisco Garcia. the Conference USA was strong. We had Louisville, Cincinnati, Memphis,
USA, right?
UAB was nice. UNC Charlotte was nice. DePaul was nice. So a lot of NBA, Cincinnati. A lot of the NBA guys. I remember my junior year. Playing the 4 and the 5, I had to guard Jason Maxill and Eric Hicks.
right.
Then they had James White. They had a lot. Man, there was a lot of pros.
That year when you guys played Marquette with D Wade, was that the year that they went all the way to the Final Four? I think with Syracuse and Carmelo.
That was a Final Four year that they went. That D Wade came into his own in the tournament. Let me say something to you. They actually got beat in our conference tournament.
Marquette.
And they beat us. We beat Cincinnati. They beat us, and then they got beat. And I remember passing them through the tunnel, and D Wade was letting them have it. I felt like that loss catapulted them because that team was talented. They had you remember big Robert Jackson?
Yeah.
Robert Jackson. You remember that?
Yeah.
Robert Jackson. He left state, because that's where he's from, Wisconsin. So
transfer, right?
He was there. So they had him. And they was nice, man. But I think
Dina was nice.
Travis Dina was nice.
Was Novak
I think the nice
on that team?
Who?
Novak. Steve Novak. Was he there?
Novak.
Okay.
Novak.
Okay.
So I think the nicest team was my senior year when Memphis had Rodney Carney, Sean Banks, Darius Washington. They had Joey Dorsey. They had they had pros.
Right. Yeah.
They what's the other guard? They had Chris Douglas Roberts. They was nice.
Right. Yeah.
That was a nice team because that team, my senior year, that team went to the national championship the next year.
Right.
All them cats. When they got D Rose, they had the same team and got D Rose.
Right. That's when they lost to Kansas, right?
Right. Should have won it, but that same team with Joey Dorsey, Chris Douglas Roberts, Antonio Anderson, D Rose,
Sean Banks.
Sean Banks. They lost Rodney Carney. Sean Banks. They had I talk to him all the time. Robert Dozier.
Right.
They was nice. Okay. They were nice. And that was probably and they were young, but they beat us. They beat us twice, and they were. I mean, they just dribble drive, and that was one of the hardest offenses at that time.
All those guys that you just named definitely put on had an NBA jersey on at some point at the time throughout their career. Now, fast forward to the end of your senior year. Before we get into playing pro, how many years did you play pro?
I played 10 years, man. I actually played professional 10 years.
Okay.
Yeah,
so I don't want to get ahead of myself. Okay, so how was that now, the end of your senior year, like you said, you playing with Eustace, you're already kind of bumpy road, I guess, with him, I guess the relationship between you guys. What was your first, how'd you go about getting your first job? Like, you getting an agent? Like, did you play in any pre-draft camps or, like, workouts or summer leagues? Like, how'd you go about getting your first job, an agent?
My first job was, it was actually funny that I had nothing. When I came out of school, I was undersized, 4'5", and they said he's 20, he looked like he can play guard, but what came about was I went to Chicago and I started working out at Simeon, which is D Rose High School. So I got a chance to meet D Rose going into his senior year, and his one assistant coaches, you probably seen, if you watch his documentary, Poop, you see a guy named Andre Hamlin.
Okay.
I mean, he's one real good friend of mine. I actually met him because my cousin from Chicago actually knew Dre because Dre's wife is my cousin's boss' sister. So I got hooked up that way.
Right.
And they allowed me to come and work out at Simeon. I would drive. I actually drove myself up there and then work out with them guys and actually work out with, D Rose and the kids and, just doing all that.
Right.
And D Rose's brother Reggie had an AU team called Mean Streets. So he would practice. Eric Gordon would be in there. And I used to actually practice and work out with them kids.
Right.
And at the time, Dre knew Shannon Brown's father, which is a police chief for Chicago.
Okay.
And he had a connect to where he could get me into the Nike Pro City in Chicago. So I got hooked up with this team, and the team had a lot of people know him now. Went to California, Jerome Randall, point guard Jerome Randall. They had big Lance Stevens went to DePaul. I played with him in Turkey. They had a lot of guys that was local. Nate Manoy, when he was young, went to Central Michigan. A lot of those kids was together, and they put me on that team.
Right.
And we won Nike Pro City, and they used to call me Mississippi because I was getting loose.
Right.
And, doing that summer league, I'm playing against, Iguodala was playing in there a lot. Nate Robinson, a lot of those guys was coming back and play.
Right.
And I was holding on, and I was killing. During that time, it was a guy who was actually an NBA scout sitting there by the name of he was a scout for the Nets. His name was Murray Hanks. Murray was a scout, but Murray also was a coach of the EA Sports, which when we was in college,
the
traveling team, right? So I got hooked up right after that to play with EA Sports, which was the traveling team, the exhibition games. We played LSU, we played Creighton, we played Iowa State, we played can't remember who else we played, but we played BYU, and we played Nevada, and I got some game film of me playing on the perimeter, and Murray got me hooked up after the LSU game with the Yakima Sun Kings, which was the CBA. Which was the CBA champion.
So around what time is this? So like you was on a travel team playing against school. So your first year, that summer you were just playing in Chicago and playing on the team there.
Right. And Nike right.
Okay.
So what I did was, and after that happened, I got hooked up with EA Sports. I had great game film because even though you're playing, that was the LSU team that went to the Final Four and all that, and got great game film, and actually, it was great game film. So got hooked up and got invited to vet camp with the Yakima Sun King, which was the CBA champs at the time, and during practice and stuff like that, the coach put me to the side. He said, "Man, you're a guard. I want to put you at the point."
Which you've been
doing my first year,
your whole life. You've been playing guard your whole life.
Right. So I was a big guard, man, 225, 6'4", point guard. He had me playing point. So I played point. We won the CBA championship, and I was rookie of the year. So next thing you know, it was what it was.
That's what set it off right there. So
yeah.
So your CBA was your first deal. Now, what happened? So did that transition into going overseas to Europe that following year, or did you go back to the CBA?
I went back to the CBA because I was about to have my first child, and she was going to be born in January, and she's 12 now, which is crazy. Right. But I went back. They gave me more money to go back to Yakima. Gave me more money, and actually, Moochie Norris which is my big brother. He was actually coming out. Got waived by the the Hornets at the time, and got waived by the Knicks. And he didn't want to go to the D League. He came in with us, and he mentored me. I was like his young fella. So I was a young. He literally took care of me. He talked about how when he got drafted, how when he was with the Seattle Supersonics, how Vin Baker, how Gary Payton took care of him, and he showed me how vets supposed to treat his young fella.
Right.
And he taught me in and out of the game. Got me hooked up with my first agent. It was a guy from Intersport named Dan Moldovan. And when my daughter was born, I came home and they was trying to get me to come back. And I was like, no, I'm going to stay about another week. And I look up, and I was traded to the worst team in the CBA. I got traded, which was in McAllen, Texas. I got traded and went to McAllen, and the team, we went on 11-game winning streak. When the season was over, because they was terrible. They didn't make the playoffs. When the season was over, I got my first gig to go overseas. I got a chance to play in the playoffs in Venezuela.
Venezuela. Okay, so now, where all did you play in Europe? What country?
I played my first year. I played in Bamberg, Germany.
Okay.
Bamberg. I played for Bamberg. Then I went to Turkey. I played for Banvit. Went to Romania. I played 2 years in Romania with BC Morris.
Right.
I played in 2 years. I played for J.L. Borg, and I played for Saint Vallier. One was both at that time were Pro B.
Yep.
Then I went to Argentina. I played for Obras Sanitarios in Argentina. I played in Australia. I played for Townsville Crocodiles. And I played during that time when I come back home from Europe, I would go to the Philippines. I went to the Philippines 4 seasons, which is 4 conferences in the summer. So I played year round. I played year round for 3 years.
Nice. Okay. Now, what year? I know I remember I was over, but what year? I think you won like you got a dunk championship, right? What country did you win the dunk contest in?
That was 2009. It was in Turkey.
Okay.
I was in Turkey. I won the Turkish dunk contest 2009, and I actually that was crazy out, in front of all those people.
Right.
But
now, everywhere you've been, what's the furthest you have gotten now? Have you won any trips overseas, or you won?
I actually won 3 trips overseas. I won in Romania. I won in we actually won in Venezuela.
Okay.
And I won in JL Board. That's when we got promoted from Pro B to Pro A.
Now, I've had my past two, because you're my third person. I've had people that played in Europe, played in Asia, played in Europe and South America. Just real quick, what's the difference that you would say between Europe, from your perspective, Europe, South America, and the Philippines and Australia? Because I know, I can just real quick for me, I know Europe is more team oriented, where pass and the leading scorer may average 14. And then when I was in the Middle East, I averaged almost 20 something, where it's more freedom and you can get loose. So real quick, like I guess in the different regions that you played in, how would you compare them?
I mean, Europe was definitely, man. Europe was tough for me in the beginning because when I played for Bamberg. From Bamberg, the crossover step was real. You catch it and you swing through and
right.
It was travel.
Travel, yeah. Or like pump fake, and then put it down. And you can put the foot down. Right, yep.
The crossover step. So that was big for me. And I remember I used to catch it in practice. I swing through and boom and put it down. And coach would like travel. And my coach at the time is now Chris Fleming, which is an assistant coach for the Bulls. Right?
Nice.
Chicago Bulls. So I would, he would teach me the crossover steps. So I would stay out of practice and learn that, man. And it was, like I said, it was team. You average 10, 12, 15, or whatever. You pretty much hold your own. Right. Right.
So, how'd you like practicing? How did you feel about the tour days?
I hated the tour days. Well, the tour days was cool until I got to France. I had a coach named Fred Sarman. I remember my agent told me, he said, look, he's one of the toughest coaches. He practices a lot. He liked to practice a lot. And old school guy. And we would practice, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. We play on Friday or Saturday, Saturday. And he would practice twice all the way up. So we got toward the middle part of the season, getting ready to go like February and March seemed like it was the longest month ever.
Right.
We get to March. I'm like, Coach, I'm going to give you Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Thursday, I'm chilling. Friday, I'm chilling. Saturday, I got to be ready for the game, so I ain't got no leg, bro.
Right, yeah.
So that was the one thing about Europe, man, was the practicing, and then, you got to make sure the system and being a team player. When I got to Europe, that was a culture shock for me. When I got to the Philippines, I went to Philippines, and my first practice, I'm just trying to be passive, doing my thing, passing. So coach called me in the locker room. He said, look, I want you to score the ball every time you get it. I'm like, He said, I don't care. I'm in sixth grade. I want you to score the ball. This is what we brought you over here for, is to put it in the basket. And we were running the triangle offense. And when I learned that triangle offense, I could get to certain spots of the court where it was just, I could take one dribble and score it, or I can cut and boom, I got basket. So it was just like I had to get out of that mindset. So after that, I went back. When I went to Romania the next year, I was in that Europe mindset.
Right,
and And my coach at that time, he let me do it. So that year I was newcomer of the year. I was Cup MVP. I was foreign player of the year. And like I said, I was averaging, 22, 23 points.
You had your confidence up from the previous year where you could just get loose because scoring, it just kind of builds your confidence up. So I guess that was kind of a blessing in disguise going to the Philippines and then going back to Europe with that mentality, just being able to score and having a coach that will let you do it. Where would you say that your favorite place was at everywhere you played? What was your favorite? Or if you got more than one, you can tell me that as well.
Man, I'm going to be honest with you. My favorite place was the Philippines.
Okay.
Being from the South, being from Mississippi, we got that Southern hospitality and things like that. But it was just, they mimicked the league, coming from France or coming from Europe in general, we played 40 minutes.
Right.
And you might play 27 minutes.
Okay.
And you might play 27, 28 minutes. And that was you was on the court all the time, seemed like.
Right.
But, I was over there and we mimicked the league. They had, at the time, they had 3 referees, which they looked like the NBA. They played 48 minutes.
Right.
And I would play 45, 46 minutes a game. Never came out. And it was, like I said, with the culture, the league itself, the money was crazy.
Right.
And it was just, I if anybody had a chance to play in the PBA, I recommend it.
Right. So that's what I was gonna as we're winding down, I was gonna get to next. And like I said, you don't have to say the amount. Was the Philippines where you had your biggest deal?
Yeah, because I could be over there. Most of us, we get our biggest thing about Europe. If you go to Europe, you get 80,000 euro, 90,000 euro,
right,
100,000. You get that type of money. Even being in Europe, and you making 60,000, 70,000. That's probably equivalent to making 80, 90 here.
Right, because it's tax free.
Because you didn't really spend your tax free.
Right.
You ain't spending money and things like that. So you really could bank. But I could be in the Philippines for 2.5, 3 months.
Right.
I make 110, 115, 120,000. I come home from the summer.
Right.
So that's like a no-brainer. You average 30, 35, 40 grand a month, and they paid you every 2 weeks.
Right.
So, and then price of living was good. So yeah, man, it was love.
The Philippines, and you said, and that season was only for like 3 or like 4 months.
Right.
Okay, cool. It could be high school, college. Who was the first person to just cook you, just fry you, and you went home and was just like, damn, like, I just couldn't do nothing. I couldn't guard them.
I'm gonna break it down from each level, right? High school, it really wasn't. I can't really think about. Somebody asked me this the other day, and you're gonna bring him on, which is funny, and you can attest to this. They asked me, man, you ever got dunked on? I said, man, I remember we was playing. I remember we was playing at Mississippi State team camp, and I
remember. I can see. I can see it now.
What?
I said, I remember it right now.
And I remember when that thing came out the rim, and I look up and boom, golly. And but college, there was 2 players that was so tough to guard. Man, that was a cat from TCU, and he was about 6 feet, possibly 5'11", played the 2 because their point guard was Corey Santee. He's assistant coach with TCU now, but they had a guy named Junior Blunt.
Okay.
And he run off screens. He was a senior. I was like a freshman, sophomore, and he was one of the hardest people to guard. Also, Reese Gaines from Louisville. Was tough.
All right.
6'6", strong. He was tough, man. And pound. He was tough. My pro career, the hardest person that I ever had to guard, and he led the league in Turkey. He was averaging 28, and that's strong.
Yeah.
But everything ran through him. They big man was tractor trailer, but Gerald Fitch from Kentucky.
Okay.
Was probably the toughest person I had to guard as a pro.
And he had just kind of free range too to just kind of do his thing.
Everything ran through him. He played the point, and he was so crafty. And it wasn't speed. He just knew how to put it in the basket. And I tell a lot of people, man. I told my best friend, man. This is about 2 months ago. We was talking about this. and I actually made him go look at YouTube. I said, just look how he scored the ball. Him and both of these both were when I was in Turkey. And Chris Lofton from
Tennessee.
From
the shooter.
I mean,
Okay.
them guys just run off so many screens, man. And you
Right.
know, you get to a point where if they catch a rhythm, it's over.
Right.
And it wasn't speed, it wasn't athletic. It just knew how to get to the right spot to get their shot off.
Okay. So we covered all that. Now, going back to the
kind of remind me of you.
Huh?
Kind of remind me of you running off screen, getting loose.
Right. Now, kind of going backwards. What was your first just like when you had like a little bit of money in your pocket, you just want to splurge? Like, what was your first crazy splurge that probably now that you look back and you just be like, damn, like I bought that, or like I just did that when you had like, you know, when you first, you know, had some money in your pocket back then. Like, what was your first just crazy buy?
Man, I went to Miami from Thursday through Monday, man. I spent $11,000.
Just cut up.
I just spent $11,000. Came back to the crib and it was like nothing, you know, $11,000. I'm cool, but I went to Miami and spent $11,000, and it was just on, you know, stuff that going out sections,
going out,
right?
bottles, yeah, just
right.
It ain't like, man. I know it's like the dumbest thing, man, but it's just something about like when you see them sparklers coming that you just feel that that you, I don't know, I can't explain it, but like something about them sparklers, man, that just make you feel that you done made it. I guess I don't know why.
And then you go to Miami, they'll put your name on, like they'll put your name.
Yeah. And you can go get and you can go get that same bottle for $40 at the store, and it's like 10 times of that. So, okay. Who's your all-time? If you had to, if you was a GM and every player that played in NBA, you can start your team. Who's your starting five?
My starting five. My starting five probably would be. You know, I'm kind of between that point, man. You know, definitely Jordan. I'm a Kobe fan.
Right.
Kobe. Bron.
So who you putting at the one? Kobe? You going Kobe at the one?
I'm gonna put Bron at the one.
Bron at the one. Okay.
I'm put Mike at the two. I'm put Kobe at the three.
Okay.
I'm gonna put Durantula at the four.
Nice.
And I'm gonna put Shaq at the five.
Right. I think you my third person. I think the only difference I heard was Durant and I think Bron. I think somebody else had Bron at the three. But I think Shaq at center is gonna be a no-brainer because he wasn't just very like Shaq or Kareem. I think I think somebody else had Mike. I always worry about Mike and Kobe on the perimeter. Like if somebody got to touch the ball, but I feel like Bron I feel like they're good enough players that they would figure it out. So to speak.
I look at it as in, you know, Bron can kind of pretty much facilitate much as you want. But with Kobe and Mike, you know, one of them gonna have to touch it. They're gonna have to get it. His mentality is the same. But Durant, to me, Durant played with Curry. Durant played with Clay.
Right.
So Durant know how to pick and choose. So,
and I can only imagine Bron passing to Kobe, Mike, Durant, and Shaq. Like, I mean,
throwing it up to Shaq.
Yeah, if he averaged whatever 12 assists now with the guys he got now, just imagine if he had those kind of guys. Last thing, bro, what's something that if nobody knew you, that's like that you do if you got like a cool hobby, something about you that if nobody knew you that, you know, probably be interesting about you?
Man, you know, pretty much.
Or whatever.
Oh man, that's crazy. You know, pretty much, if nobody know me, they can kind of, if they see something or see me, they can kind of tell that I'm kind of, you know, I kind of end up being fitness and things like that. But man, just, you know, I playing the drums, man. Playing the drum set. You know, something that it's a hobby of mine. You know, I don't do it as much anymore, but because I actually gave my set away. But playing the drums, man, is like one of my hobbies. Really now probably my biggest hobby is reading. I mean, I got into really reading a lot of personal development stuff probably about 4 years ago. So I probably read about 2 books a month.
Nice.
You know, I read about 40 books a year, man, which is, I figure they say the more you can get here, the more you can get in your pocket. So
right. and I'm gonna end it now, but I'm gonna let it speak now. I know you came home and you started a successful business, so I just want to end it kind of just talking about what you're doing now and how you've been evolving through the years, because I always keep in touch with you and I see what you're doing, and you look doing very well. So I'm just want to kind of see what you're up to now.
Yeah, man, I actually I got into final expense life insurance, which is like burial coverages and stuff. So
Right.
I got in that, for dying, man, and with that being a recession-proof business, I got into it about going on 6 years, and really done well as a personal producer.
Right.
I built an agency about 3 years ago, and we are definitely my agency has grown through Mississippi, Alabama, Louisiana. So we on pace, man. Like I said, my agencies over the past 24 months has done over $1 million in production. So
nice.
We on pace. We're gonna get that. We're gonna do it every quarter. You know what I mean? So
right.
we're growing. Right. I love it, man. Built a great residual income, a great passive income, and it's just been.
And it's
so
almost,
I enjoy it.
And it's almost like how you said, how you're trying to reach that number, like you're bringing that basketball mentality over into the work field and still attacking, trying to accomplish goals. But yeah.
Well, the good thing about us is I always say this here: being an athlete, you become the best business people because you're gonna always set attainable goals. You're gonna always do everything you can to reach that. And you got that. If you pretty much got that mentality to be great and to love what you do as an athlete, you carry that along in business, then the sky's the limit on that side too. So that's why they athletes are the best business people.
Right. Okay. Well, brother, I appreciate you, man. I'm glad I'm doing this to catch up with guys, like I said, that I haven't talked to in years. I appreciate your time. I appreciate your knowledge that you drop. And I just appreciate you having me on for your time, bro.
Hey, man, I appreciate you, man. Shout out to you, BJ. Love you, man.
Okay. All right, bro.